Greetings everyone, and welcome to another Kids STEAM Crafternoon with the Alexander Hamilton Library. My name is Miss Afton and I'm the Children's Librarian here in Waynesboro. And for our very last STEAM Crafternoon of the summer, today we're doing a really fun open-ended project that's inspired by a classic fairy tale all about a little girl who is maybe not the most respectful of other people's stuff. So our theme today is a new chair for Baby Bear. And it draws inspiration from the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So if you're not familiar with Goldilocks and the Three Bears, it goes something like this. So there is a little girl who's called Goldilocks because of her blonde hair, who is going through the woods one day, and she comes upon a house or a cottage where no one is home. And so she goes into the cottage and finds 3 bowls of porridge sitting on the table. The first bowl she tries is far too hot, bleh, so she spits it out. The second bowl is far too cold, so she spits that out too. The third bowl that she tries is just right, so she eats the whole thing up. Next, after her big meal, she decides it's time to rest. So she goes to the living room and finds 3 chairs. The first chair is much too hard and it hurts to sit on. The second chair is much too soft and Goldilocks sinks back into it. The third chair, though, is just right. And it's so comfortable that she sits down, but then it breaks. So with her comfy chair gone, Goldilocks decides to take a nap. So she goes and finds the bedrooms. The first bed that she tries has the head with pillows up that are far too high when she tries to lay down. The second bed that she tries has pillows up at the feet, so it is far too low at her head to be comfortable. The third bed that she tries is just right, and so she falls asleep. But little does she know that while she's sleeping, the owners of the cottage come back, and they are 3 bears. A mama bear, a papa bear, and baby bear. So when the bears come back, they look at their porridge bowls, and Papa Bear says to the bowl that's hot, "Someone has been eating my porridge." Mama Bear says the same thing when she sees her bowl. She says, "Oh, someone has been eating my porridge." And Baby Bear looks at his empty bowl and says, "Someone has been eating my porridge," and they've eaten it all up. So then they go to the living room and see their chairs. The same thing happens. Papa Bear says, "Someone's been sitting in my chair." Mama Bear says, "Someone's been sitting in my chair." Baby Bear says, "Someone's been sitting in my chair and they broke it." So the bears are very curious who has been in their house now. And so they sneak upstairs listening to the snores coming from the bedroom. Papa Bear looks at his bed and sees the blankets all mussed and says, "Someone has been sleeping in my bed." Mama Bear does the same and says, "Someone has been sleeping in my bed." And then Baby Bear looks in his bed and sees Goldilocks. He says, "Someone has been sleeping in my bed and she's still there." Well, at that time, Goldilocks wakes up to see 3 bears standing around her. And she runs and jumps out the window and never goes back to the cottage again. So today we're going to solve one of Baby Bear's problems. We can't give him more porridge, but we can build him a new chair. So our challenge today is going to be using some simple materials at home or from our STEAM kit here at the library that you can take home for free, and we're going to be building our very own new chair for Baby Bear. Okay, so for materials first. If you are just doing this at home on your own, you can use anything that you want. Right? If you're using one of our STEAM kits to get you started, you can still use whatever you want to build today, but we're going to help you out by providing some newspaper and a roll of masking tape. So in your STEAM kit, you'll get a thick pile of newspaper and a whole roll of tape that are yours to keep and use for your chair. Right, so my first step when I'm making my chair is to start rolling. Now, because this is a really cool open challenge, you can follow some of the steps that I'm doing, so you'll end up with a similar chair as we saw in the beginning, or you can come up with a totally different design. Right, and actually, I'd love to see some really interesting, crazy, different things today. But I'm going to start by doing some really basic structure building and doing rolling. So I'm going to take my paper and I'm just going to start with a page or two. I usually do my rolls by taking a big piece and folding it in half. Okay, and I'm going to make some short rolls and I'm going to make some long rolls. So let's get rolling. To do short rolls, I just put the paper so that it's long ways in front of me, and I'm just going to roll as tightly as I can from the bottom up to the top, and then tape off the ends. So you can see I've rolled the paper, and now I'm just going to take pieces of tape, and I'm just going to tape the pieces, the ends of the paper that are sticking up, I'm just going to tape them down flat. You can add as much or as little tape as you want. So I've got this. Let's do another one. So that one actually got a little crooked, and that may end up hurting me later because it doesn't have a totally flat end. But I'm going to go ahead and tape these together anyway, so it won't unravel. This is also a really great project to do with another person or in a group at home. Where you can kind of help each other, or you can challenge each other to do competing designs and see who's holds the most weight. But working with someone is really great because they can help you by holding it still while you tape, or the opposite. Let's do a couple more. And next I'm going to do some long rolls. So I've got some of my short rolls, and I think I'll start with 4 of those for my legs, and we'll go from there. But I also want to do some long rolls. Now to do long rolls, again, this is up to you how you want to try it. But what I do to make longer roll pieces is I take the same paper and lay it down so it's long in front of me, folded twice, so it's doubled up. And instead of rolling it straight, I'm actually going to take it and put it on a diagonal. What happens then is when you roll, again, trying to keep it as tight as you can, what happens is if you roll at an angle, it'll go straight across, but because the paper is wider, because you're covering more space instead of being straight in front, because it's going at a diagonal covering more space that way, when you roll it, it's going to end up being the length of the paper at that angle. So it's much thinner, you can see, but it's also much longer. So I'm going to tape this off too. And with this one, with the diagonal, I can just put a piece of tape down at the end. So there's like one spot where it's coming off. So I'll do a couple of these. Okay, so I have 4 long pieces and 4 short pieces. I actually have a couple extra, so I went ahead and did a few extra. But now it's time to start thinking about how I want to put my table together. So I can make my tabletop. To do that, you can, again, make this any way you want. You can take a paper and you can just fold it in half a couple times to make a really narrow top. I would recommend taping the edges. You can also put more than one piece together. If you have some of these like magazine inserts from the paper, these could be really good filling for your seat. So maybe I'll put those inside and then fold the edges around and tape it. However you want to do the top of yours, I would just recommend folding it so it's nice and stiff and steady. If you don't fold, then it could be totally fine, or you could end up getting a lot of rolling or it kind of crumpling. So I like to put creases and I like to tape it together. So here I've got a fairly decent seat. Let's start putting things together. So if I start with my table top or my table bottom, or my chair top or my chair bottom, I'm actually going to take the top and I'm going to put it down first with the bottom side sticking up. All right. Then I'm going to start attaching my legs. So to attach legs, I'm going to pre-roll, I'm going to rip some tape. I think I'm gonna do 4 medium-sized pieces. And then you can choose how you want your table to, or how you want your chair to look. So if you want to do 4 legs, like a typical chair, you can do that. You can also switch it up and do 3 legs, right? Because it really depends on the shape of your seat. So because I have a rectangle seat, I'm probably going to do 4 legs. But if I folded my paper differently and made a triangle instead, I could make a triangle seat or stool, which is actually really neat because triangles are the most stable shape in nature. That means triangles are the shape that will not fall down the most. They're the easiest to balance, even better than a square. So, because though I made the bottom of mine or the top of my chair a rectangle, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and put on 4 legs. So I'm just putting my tape on, I'm holding a leg and starting to put tape down. And I'm gonna do this around 4 sides. You can do this however you want. With some of them, I like to twist the tape around. Sometimes I like to go straight. It'll be up to you to experiment and see what works best for you. But I put a piece of tape around each side, and I'm gonna take, for me, I like taking 1 long piece and then wrapping it the whole way around the tape so it doesn't start to pull off. And then I'll just tape that down. All right, and I've got my first leg. I'm gonna do the same thing to add some more legs, and I might add a little more tape that's looking a little floppy. Okay, so I've added some more legs. I'm gonna go ahead and keep adding. I'll add my 4th leg on. All right, so I've got my 4 legs attached, and you can see they're still really wobbly. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and add a base to my chair that will just help my feet to stick together a little bit better. So to make my base, you can do this however you want. I'm just going to go ahead and use a second rectangle piece of newspaper that I prepared that will just help those legs stay in one place instead of going and splitting as soon as I lay it down. So again, I just got my little bottom piece. So I might turn this over and just tape them to spots on this paper. So I'm just adding some more tape to get these stuck to the bottom piece. And I'm just adding it around like I did the top. So it takes a little bit of time, but just be patient. You can even, since there really aren't rules on this, you can even tape this to the space where you're working if you want. So if you have a table that you're working on, you can tape it to the table. It's up to you. All right, but I've got my table legs taped down. I've got my table top, which is a little uneven. So what do you think I can do to start adding some more structure in there? Well, I can roll more legs. I can add some of my long pieces. So with these, I actually made these with the intent of bending them. So I'm going to take some of these and put them underneath my structure to start building a support under the main legs. And I'm gonna flip it over to work underneath again. So as you can see, I'm just starting to build the structure in the middle of my table because my top was pretty wobbly where it would just kind of sink down and the legs would start to go to the sides. So I'm going to let you start building on your own. I'm going to keep building, but I'm not going to really tell you what I'm doing because I want you from here to think about how you can keep building structure on the inside. Maybe you do rings that go around the outside. Maybe you do things that go up or down underneath. All right, it is up to you, but I want you to start thinking about how you can build that structure so that your chair for Baby Bear is starting to get more and more stable. So mine, if I put a little bit of weight on it, mine is still not super strong, but I have plans on how to make it stronger. So like I said, I'll keep working until we get the totally finished chair, but I want you to work on your own now. So. I'm actually rolling again. So you can add as many legs or as few legs as you want. You don't even have to have legs if that's not part of your design. But if you also run out of newspaper, you can start adding other things. So you're not limited to what's in your STEAM kit if you use one. We're just giving you some basic supplies to get started, but you are welcome to add your own things. So if you wanted to add some cardboard in there or some plastic, you could even use a chair that you have if you have like a play chair and just add things on top of it to make it taller or to just make it fancier. So the idea is to make a new chair for Baby Bear, and that can play out however you want. But our thinking is to see if we can make something ourselves and then see how much weight we can get on it. So I'm going to be just about done. I'm going to add these last two pieces and then we'll just stop and we can look at the chair that we made. Okay, so mine I could keep working on it endlessly. This is one of those things that you decide when you're done and when you're ready. It's up to you. You can also, if you want, you can do this with a time limit. So this could be a really fun project for families to do together. Say, we have an hour, everyone has a newspaper, everyone has tape, what can we make? Whose can hold the most weight? It's up to you. But right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and stop with what I have. And like I said in the beginning, now we're going to test it. Okay, so now the fun part. And you can do this however you want. But what I'm going to do is I'm gonna test my chair and see if it really could hold Baby Bear's weight. Now to do that, you can try to sit on it yourself, but I'd recommend putting some heavy things on it first. So you can see I have a stack of some of our big reference books from the library. And I'm gonna see if I can get all 5 of these big books to stand on my chair before it falls apart. So let's see what we've got. Book number 1, no problem. They have any wobble? Not really. All right, book number 2. Ooh, a little bit of shake from the table, but book number 2 is no problem. Book number 3, ooh, the ultimate scholarship book. Easy peasy. Book number 4, well, we're starting to get a little bit of twist, but it still looks okay. Number 5, so this is the last one I'm gonna test. Let's see what happens. All right, so mine is strong enough that it can hold all of these books. We want to see what your chair for Baby Bear ends up looking like as well. So please feel free to share pictures of what you've made in the comments, or you can share them with me at afrancis@ahmfl.org. We'd love to see your creations for your new chairs. I'm also gonna try and just see if I can sit on this thing. Let's see what happens. Gosh, wish me luck. So mine was maybe strong enough to hold Baby Bear, not strong enough to hold Miss Afton. Oh well, so good luck and good building.